Donnie and Dolly, the team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
Just ahead of Ray Ferraro. I got to tell you, Rick, I don't think Brooke Shields or Bo Derek were ever in the Sports Illustrated swimsuit
I'm thinking about
issue.
something else. Raquel
sure
Welch, remember her back in the day?
Sure, 1 million BC. I don't think she was in Sports Illustrated.
Yeah, but some of them made it big in that swimsuit.
I'm sure
issue.
they're in other magazines you bought. Tyra Banks, Christy Brinkley,
That's
Elle
it.
McPherson.
Yeah,
Heidi
Ellie McPherson, all those people, they made it big.
Elia McPherson?
Yeah, I remember all that stuff. That was a big issue. You couldn't wait for that issue to
Plays
come
for
out.
the Canucks.
Yeah.
Okay. We're joined now by Ray Ferraro from TSN and ESPN. How are you, Ray?
Good. Most people would say Elle McPherson, but that's just me.
Yes. It's not just you, Ray. It's only one person.
Or that's just everybody else, yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Thank you,
We
Ray.
all got sport. Remember what a big deal it was, Ray? Not the swimsuit issue. That was a big deal. But to read Sports Illustrated once a week when you got that magazine, what a big deal it was.
The writing was so incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I never really read, like, when they had a game recap, like the big college football game or the big NFL game, like at the start. I liked it more when they got into the in-depth, longer form articles. I just loved those things. I loved Sports Illustrated. So for me, it was the beginning of the magazine and then the last third of it. Mm-hmm. I just loved it. I loved it.
Yeah, for me, the must-reads were back in the day Sports Illustrated and the Hockey News.
Yeah,
and I was good. Books, forget it. Sports Illustrated, Hockey News, I'm in. I'm good. Before we talk about the Canucks, Ray, I know you love creativity in the National Hockey League. How much did you enjoy the Zegras to Milano? I could call it a lacrosse baseball goal. How much did you enjoy that last night?
Oh, man, that's so awesome. First of all, that these kids have the ability to do it, which, by the way, means this is how they've grown up. Mm-hmm. Like, you didn't just start practicing that on last Thursday and then you pulled it out. He's been fiddling around with that for years. The skill, the moves, the between the leg shots that these kids make in a game, you would never do that. First of all, because we would have tripped ourselves trying to do it, but because we just didn't have the skill. But this is one place where the U.S. got in front of Canada, I thought, quite some time ago, and that was the want and desire to develop skill over system. Like, you can teach a monkey how to play a system. Eventually, the monkey's going to get it. Okay, I skate backwards here, I turn here, like anybody can do that. Eventually, you're going to get it. The skill development takes years and years, and it's a commitment from the development model, which they run right through that national development team program. And these kids bring it into the NHL. Like, we watched Trevor Zegras at the World Junior last year. I was shocked last night that he did that. Like, I was so surprised. I would have never thought of it. But this is not a surprise to me. I watched him do it against the best juniors in the world last Christmas. Like, the same thing. He sees the game in a creative way, and that has to be the way the game is continuing to grow. Because if you're not, you're going to have a bunch of old dinosaurs clunking around out there.
Yeah. Tied for the rookie scoring lead right now with Lucas Raymond. Canucks, Ray, can you envision Bruce Boudreau having a positive impact on this hockey club?
I can. Like a lot of times a new guy comes in, right? Put it this way, you're not hiring a new coach to coach the same way as the old coach. Like, what would be the point of that? So clearly they've decided, and if you followed Bruce Boudreau, he's looking at coaching the team a different way than Travis Green did. I thought Craig Button, I saw him talking about this, and I thought he had it just 100% right, was Travis was coaching away from the weaknesses of their team. They're pretty obvious. It's not a very good defense. So he's coaching away from what they don't have. And Boudreau wants to coach more to the strength of their team, and we'll try to figure out the weakness of the team later. Like, I think there's going to come a time when, Bruce is preaching this aggressiveness, and man, as a player, that's the way I would have wanted to play all the time. I wasn't that interested in checking. That's what we had a goalie for. But eventually, they're going to get to the point. They're going to go, yeah, we're way more aggressive, and our defense is still no good. Like, I think eventually that's where they're going to come to. But I can see why it would make a positive jump in energy, and the style they play will look different, for sure, 100%. And something had to be done. You can't leave those guys walking on a plank forever. Like, I think it wasn't pretty obvious that Jim Benning and Travis Green were going to get let go at some point. So instead of just dragging these poor guys through the mud, make your decision, move forward, and try to fix it once you do that.
Ray, you go back a long way with Travis Green. You're both from the same part of British Columbia. Do you expect him to land a head coaching job in the near future in the NHL?
I'd be shocked if he doesn't. He for a long time, Travis has taken what I viewed as an undermanned team and done some pretty good things with it. Back to that first bubble, right? I mean, like, they refigured out what they had to do, the way they played. They changed a little bit, and he had a lot of success. I guess he was able to do a lot of good things. This year, absolute mess. Now, anybody that gets fired that I've ever talked to, they've taken that time away to look at what they do, like to introspectively look at themselves. What do I do? What's good about what I do? Where did it fall down? Where did it fail? And so I think that's something that Travis and every other coach has to do when they get let go. But Travis is young. He's not like he's 63 years old. He's thought of, is highly regarded, and I would be surprised if he's not back in the game relatively soon. Look, you got to wait for somebody else to get fired, though, right? Yeah. The jobs just don't pop up. So maybe you have to be more patient than you really want to be.
So, Ray, look ahead. Stan Smeal is the acting president right now. There's rumors of Rutherford, Gilman, Gillis, Bergevin. You've heard all the names. Regardless of who gets the job, Ray, how do you see this? Like Donnie talks about a rebuild. Some people talk about a retool. What would you do if you were hired to turn this thing around?
Well, first of all, Rick, I love that everybody has a different word for the same thing. I just did Columbus Blue Jackets last night in Toronto. Yeah. They call it a restart. It's not a rebuild. It's not a retool. Theirs is a restart. But at the end of the day, it's all the same. The team we got isn't the team we want to end up with. And so you call it whatever you want. But if I'm looking at that team, the clear deficiencies to me are that they peddled off draft picks like crazy, trying to win in the immediacy. I thought they totally over-evaluated their team or overestimated how good their team was. So in peddling off these draft picks, their system is pretty thin. Like, who are the next young guys that you're looking at to make an impact in the Canucks roster? I mean, the two best young guys they've got are in the lineup every night.
Yeah.
There isn't a standalone guy you go, yes, that guy, he's the guy. There just isn't. So that to me is job one. Job two is they've got to figure out their blue line. Like, you could have all the great forwards you want. If the defense's best play is shooting it off the glass, then those good forwards, they're on the punt coverage team. They just chase after the puck. They never get it. They never get it in stride. You need to find puck movers that can defend. They're not easy to find. And that probably takes more time than you want. Now, they've got to run some cash off the cap to make some of these moves. That isn't going to happen overnight. So I would say the answer probably isn't as quick as maybe ownership might like. But the clear path for me is to start to replenish the draft picks, start to build up your farm system so that you can start to put young players in place to push for jobs. Tampa Bay's done it forever. 4th round, 5th round, 6th round, Andre Palat's a 7th round pick. Like, those are your money makers. It's not your first 5 picks, in the first round. Like, everybody should get those right most of the time. they don't have enough of these other guys because they don't have enough picks. So that would be my view on it.
Ray, how far away is Pettersson from being the old Pettersson? I mean, is this going to help him, this coaching change?
I think so. I'll tell you guys, I've been flabbergasted watching him play. Like it's like a different guy is wearing number 40. It's like he's not engaged to the game, or he's thinking about the game too much. He gets knocked over all the time. There's no tenacity in his game. Like, I keep going back to that first year, and aside from his great hands, his skill, I was just so impressed that when he didn't have the puck, the most important thing in his world was to get it back. And I thought I saw a lot of Pavel Datsyuk in him. I love Datsyuk, one of my favorite players. And one of the reasons was just make that image of, Datsyuk doesn't have the puck. Now he's hunting it. Remember him coming back in the zone, lifting sticks and turning with the puck? He was always on the hunt for the puck. And that's what Pettersson was about. And somewhere he's kind of lost that. And that part of his game fuels the rest of it for me. Always, always, always work before skill. And I just think he lost that somewhere.
Ray, it's time for our annual Ray Ferraro question, and this has been brought up this week. We've asked you this before. Are you, or have you ever been interested or contacted by an NHL team about joining their front office, maybe even the Canucks?
Nope, I've never been contacted. I have always wanted to be involved in building something, and to get into the wins and losses again, although I look at the stress these guys are under, and that doesn't look like a hell of a lot of fun. But yes, I've always wanted to do it. Yet here I am, Donnie. I'm 57 years old. There must be a reason nobody calls. So I just keep doing what I'm doing. I love what I'm doing. If somebody calls, I'd listen, and I'd listen with open eyes and an open heart. And I love the game. Love it. It's been my life forever. I love what I'm doing, but if the phone rang, I'd listen. Phone doesn't ring, though, so I don't worry about it.
Yeah, nothing like the wins and losses. And very quickly, Ray, why didn't Alain Vigneault work out in Philadelphia?
Oh, man. I thought that team was going to be better again. Like, I'm really surprised. They can't defend. Like, last year you could say, you know what, they couldn't get a save. They keep giving up, like, when I say multiple goals, 4, 5, 6 goals a night. And so at some point, you have to look and say, is the roster that bad? Which in some cases it is. Or are we doing things the wrong way? And they obviously feel the roster's better. I thought the roster was better. I thought they would defend better. But they're not even, they're a mess, guys. That is a train wreck right now. Yeah. And so I would say that, you hang that on the coach eventually.
Get back to reading Sports Illustrated, Ray. Thanks for this. Hope to talk to you soon. If we don't talk to you before Christmas, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Thanks, guys. All the best to you guys and to everybody listening. And happy holidays. And we'll be in Edmonton on Boxing Day for the start of World Juniors. Right. And pumped to get started again. Can't wait for that again.
I know how much you love it. Ray, thanks for this. Appreciate it.
Yeah, be well, guys. We'll talk to you soon.